Hello everybody and welcome once again to your dude the Awesomeberg for another review, and today we are reviewing a Carenado airplane. How curious. Yes, the Carenado C172SP G1000, recently released as of a couple days ago, available from carenado.com for $34.95 for FSX all the way through to P3D version 4. Comes with a whole host of usual things, so you get 5 liveries, you get 1 blank texture, you get a whole set of manuals and procedures and checklists and all that fun stuff. And jumping straight in and looking at it from the outside, it is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful representation of a 172SP. So the model, the texturing, the sounds, the effects, the animations, everything is of the usual very, very high Carenado quality. However, if you know me, then you know that the exterior and the visuals are only half the story, because I am a systems guy. And systems we shall talk about by jumping back into the inside. Now, on the inside we find a G1000, the Carenado G1000, including the Navigraph expansion pack. Which is to say that you don't have to buy it separately. It is included with this airplane when you buy it, which is a good thing. So you get all your procedures, your sits and stars, your airways, as well as VNAV and a whole host of other things, which is fantastic, which is great. So kudos for Carenado for actually providing that out of the gate. Also, usual disclaimer, this was given to me by Carenado as a review copy. This is a review copy. I am reviewing a review copy. Please keep that in mind. Now, the G1000 itself is actually one of the things I want to talk about, and one of the reasons why I'm actually reviewing this airplane, because while I have been a little bit critical of Carenado in the past, I think they have actually gotten significantly better over the last couple months and years, and I figured I want to give them another shot at it, and I want to just like reevaluate why it was that I didn't like them, and reevaluate if anything has changed. And TLDR, yes, things have changed, things have gotten a lot better, namely in the G1000 department. Because what Carenado have done is very, very slowly develop the G1000 into a very competent and very usable system. Which is indicated by the fact that most, if not all, pages are actually present, particularly on the aux, when you go all the way back here to the settings. All of this is set-upable, all of this is changeable, all of this is customizable, which I think is fantastic. We have things like your dedicated traffic pages on the front, like your traffic, your TORS terrain, once it loads, as well as your weather radar. The only point of contention that I have for this G1000 is the way it looks and uses the default GPS engine. That is really the only drawback, because I think that actually hampers it. It hampers it in the visual department, and it hampers the performance department. Other than that, this is now, in 2017, a very, very competent G1000 simulation. And at least with this 172 here, with this particular airplane, they have gone a step further than that and expanded the functionality of the G1000 even further. Namely, this time on the PFD side of things, by including what I'm sure you have seen and what you're waiting for, but by including synthetic vision. A system which projects a 3-dimensional terrain representation of the world onto your primary flight display. They have achieved this by working together with a dude named Marcin, who is the developer of WebSim Connect, which is what this synthetic vision system is based on. So when you buy this airplane, you will get a 1-year license for use of the SVS, and after that, I don't think Marcin has decided what's going to happen, but you will get at least 1 year free for the SVS on purchasing the 172. Why is this a big deal? Well, this is a big deal because synthetic vision and things like that have been, for the very longest time, thought of being very impossible, if not impractical, to do in the simulator. And Marcin, with WebSim Connect, has proven that that's false, because, well, as you can see, this is running right here. This is running beautifully, and it's also running without losing a single frame. I can run this on my very mediocre machine with 0 performance loss, absolutely zero performance impact, and the only thing that it requires is a very, very minimal bandwidth for the internet connection because of the way it works. Which is to say that the terrain data that you see here on your screen is not stored locally. It is not stored on your computer locally, but it is streamed to you from the internet. It is hosted on a server, which is, you know, doing the processing and all that kind of stuff, and then streams it to your machine. So the only requirement really you need to have for this is an internet connection, which, you know, I'm very sure if you're watching this video, you probably have an internet connection. But I know I ramble a lot because that's what I do, but the core reason why I want to talk about this, and the core reason I think is awesome, is because I think this is a massive, massive, massive step in the right direction of innovating and putting stuff out there that couldn't be done before. It was always thought about of, you know, not being able to be done, and then just do it, and then just go with it, because, well, this is what this is. Synthetic vision has for the longest time been thought of as impossible, impractical, because of performance constraints, because of size constraints, or whatever. And right now, in 2017, as of a couple days ago, we have a fully functional, working synthetic vision system that looks very close to what the real thing does. It works extremely close to what the real thing does. It behaves the same way. It looks the same way. It feels the same way, including TAWs, including your heading projection in here, including traffic and all that kind of stuff. As for limitations, the only thing this can't do is the sky highway, or the highway in the sky, the path vectors, and it cannot do obstacles, but I'm pretty sure that's something that will hopefully come at a later point. Either way, again, that's not the point. The point is that this is driving innovation forward, and this is what I wanted to talk about mainly in this video, is because I think Carenado have done a very, very important thing with this. Carenado have gone and said, you know what, we're gonna do this, we're gonna further our own products, we're gonna make them unique, we're gonna make them stick out. And I think that's brilliant, because what this does is, hopefully it will show other people that this is doable and that they can implement it into their own simulators. What I hope will happen with this is that other developers will look at this and go, huh, maybe we should contact that Marcin. Maybe we should implement this into our plans. And in general, I just think that it drives technology, it drives further development, it drives innovation. Going a little bit more in detail, the SVS, what it can do. You have your 3D terrain representation. It is shaded from green all the way to dark brown, depending on the altitude. You have a very basic selection of vector data, in this case a river, which we are following back to the Bodensee. You have airport labels back here for your airports, and you have a projected heading line, all of which you can disable or set up back here. So you can turn the horizon heading off, you can turn the airport signs off, or you can leave them on. Entirely up to you. So, also included in this is a tall speed simulation, which means that if you fly a little bit too close to terrain, it will get you a visual alert by turning the affected terrain area yellow and red when you get too close. So again, that works the exact same thing as it does in the real world. And I think this is absolutely fantastic. I think the inclusion of this now is what puts Carenado above everybody else. Quite frankly, flat out, what puts them above everybody else. Because so far, Carenado have done all sorts of different, very interesting airplanes, but their G1000, while it's been getting better progressively, has never been up to the same standard as others were. Like, you know, the Flight 1 would be the best example. It's never quite been up to that level. However, I do think that with this airplane in particular, and also some of the other newer airplanes that they have done, the G1000 now is very much up to that standard. It still doesn't quite perform as good, and it still doesn't quite look as good, but I think that's gonna be a thing for the future, and a step that they will take very soon, hopefully. But ultimately, what it means is that now, with the inclusion of this synthetic vision system, Carenado have put themselves way above everybody else. They are now doing something that nobody else has done, and that nobody else does, at least within the FSX/P3D realm. I don't know about X-Plane. And I am very sure that this is the first time somebody has ever done something like this. And I think that is incredibly amazing. Please, 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 Carenado, if you watch this, continue doing this, continue implementing this into other airplanes, because this is fantastic. This is great. As for the 172 itself, talking about the airplane itself for a minute, well, it is a 172. It flies like a 172, it sounds like a 172, it behaves like a 172, it has the performance of a 172. And I think they have very deliberately chosen the 172 to showcase this technology, because if you think about it, the Cessna 172 is the default trainer of the world. It is a trainer aircraft through and through. That's what it is, that's what it does. By implementing something like this into an airframe like the 172, you allow people to experience that technology and experience what it has to offer without having to think too much about flying the airplane itself, which I think is why they have chosen the 172. It makes sense. It makes a lot of sense when you think about it. Whether you like the 172 or not, I mean, you know, that is personal preference. Personally, I'm not the world's biggest fan of the 172, like in real life and in a simulator, because I just don't particularly like this airplane, but that is irrelevant in this case. This is entirely irrelevant in this case. This package right now exists to showcase technology, to demonstrate the technology, to get it out to people, to get it out to users, to let users test drive it, to let them find bugs and issues that they can then feed back to Marcin, that he can fix, that he can use to further improve and develop WebSim Connect and, you know, the abilities it has with that. So again, as an airplane itself, it does the usual thing. It's a 172. There's no surprises there. You get exactly what you would expect. And for everything else, this is great. I mean, this is a very solid Carenado add-on. That's really the best way to describe it. This is a very, very solid, very well done Carenado aircraft. What sets it apart, of course, is the synthetic vision here. Clearly, obviously. But it's still a Carenado airplane, which means it's still good. It's still very usable. And I think that is the whole point, because Carenado have always had this kind of reputation of making, you know, quote-unquote bad airplanes, end quote, which I don't think is true. I do not actually think it's true. Despite having been critical of them for a very, very long time in the past, I do think they make very, very solid add-ons for a very specific market. And that specific market is more of the average simmer who maybe doesn't necessarily care about, you know, 1,000,000,000% accuracy, if you know what I mean. And I am one of those simmers. I am one of those quote-unquote hardcore simmers, even though I absolutely hate that term. And I still find something enjoyable about this airplane. I find something enjoyable about most Carenado airplanes, actually. Because at their very core, they are solid, functional, good-looking, good-sounding, and well-behaving add-ons. And I think that's a very easy thing to miss, is that they are not delivering garbage. They never have. It's just always been mediocre with issues. But they tend to fix those issues very quickly and then turn it from mediocre with issues into just mediocre, middle-of-the-road, very solid add-on for a very solid price. And I think that's exactly where they want to be, and I think that's a very good thing. Which is to say that I approve of this development. I approve of what Carenado is doing. I think this is a very solid product. Could it be better? Yes. It could absolutely be better. There's no point in denying that. But when you make that argument, you also have to ask the question, do they want it to be better? Do they want to play with the A2As and the Real Airs and the Flight 1s and all those people? Do they want to do that? I don't know. Probably not. I have no idea. The bottom line is that I think this is a very, very solid add-on. I think this is actually one of the better add-ons that they have done as of late, together with the Phenom 300 version 2 and the SR22 V2 and all those. But the essence is still true that Carenado have been getting better and better and better lately when it comes to improving on their systems, improving on, you know, the faults that people had with their airplanes, and just generally improving on the quality of stuff that they deliver. And I think they have absolutely done that, particularly with this. like even aside from the synthetic vision, which I think just makes this thing 1000% better, even still, which is still quite a lot. But yeah, yeah, I think it's a step in the right direction. I really hope they continue doing this, and simply because of that, jumping into the the conclusion part now. Only after 15 minutes. This is going to be a very short review. Unusually so for me, but still. I think this is a solid add-on. I do not particularly see much wrong with it. It looks good, it sounds good, it feels good, it flies good. It behaves exactly how you would expect it to. It's a 172. I mean, I think everybody has flown a 172 at least to some degree in the simulator. Everybody is familiar with it. And the thing that sets it apart clearly is the ability to now play around and experience and have a look at SVS, which I think is, again, that still blows me away. The fact that that's even possible, the fact that somebody has done it, and the fact that we now have it available in the commercial product to test drive it is just amazing to me. And I encourage everybody who is remotely interested in aviation, who is remotely interested in avionics and technology and all that kind of stuff, to take a look at this, because this is a big deal. I think this is the start of a very, very big thing, and I hope it continues to evolve and continues to develop into something even greater. I just hope that Carenado, if they're listening, implement this into the Phenom 300 very soon and into the SR22 very soon, because those are two airplanes that I very much like and that I fly a lot, and I would really want to see the SVS in there. But now going into the conclusion and the recommendation part, would I recommend you buy this add-on? Yes, actually I would, because it would show Carenado and it would show Marcin that there's interest in this kind of stuff, that people want to see that kind of stuff, and it would hopefully encourage them again to continue and further the development of that kind of technology and implement it into other airplanes. And maybe even show other developers that this is now out there and available, you know, for them to use and for them to implement into their own aircraft. So, as far as that is concerned, yes, I do actually very much recommend you get this, because it is a very solid add-on. It is a very good add-on. I like it quite a lot, despite being a 172. The few issues that I have are just with the way the G1000 is rendered on the map itself. Again, default GPS engine, not fantastic, not great, but it's workable. That would be my only drawback for that, is if you don't like the way it's done with the default GPS engine, then maybe stay away from it. But other than that, I can recommend it. I absolutely can recommend it, if only for the synthetic vision alone, because I think that is just absolutely fantastic and just deserves a honest look at. It deserves a neutral and unbiased look at, and I hope that's what I was able to provide. And yeah, I like it. I like it very, very much. So give it a look. It's available now, $34.95 from Carenado.com. The Carenado 172 G1000 with the synthetic vision system. I am the Awesome Burke, and I will see you next time.